After the Clone Wars, despite the droid shutdown order being given, there was a massive amount of CIS war material that stayed active in resistance cells like that of Jizor Delso and Tumbuktora. A lot was also sold off into private hands or to smaller galactic governments like the corporate sector, and even more went missing entirely. One of the ships that went missing left stories of vast riches and technological secrets in its wake, making a conspicuous yet mysterious exit from the galactic stage, chased by Imperials around the Rim, before finally making a hyperspace jump and leaving the galaxy guessing at its whereabouts for 2 decades, the San Nalior. The San Nalior was named after one of the presidents of an organization called the Hyperbank Conglomerate, about as Star Wars-y a bank name as you can make. During the Clone Wars, he became famous for repossessing the defense fleets from mining stations, and then using those same fleets to assault them within a couple weeks. The ship San Nalior, which I'm going to pronounce as many different ways as possible in this video, was a Munificent-class frigate commanded by Captain Rel Harsel. After the war closed, like many Separatist commanders, Harsel refused to surrender to the Empire. Instead, he loaded the San Nalior with credits, valuable ingots, and most importantly, some of the best cyber technicians in the galaxy, led by an Arcanian named Kratala. Harsel and Kratala had planned to set up a base away from the reach of the Empire, with the cybernetic work done by Kratala, protected by Harsel, and sold through underworld networks, especially using the help of a Twi'lek named Ropok in charge of a company called Isotech. The pair was attempting to escape down the Prelemian trade route, but before they could make their final jump, they were assaulted by the Empire. They managed to make their final jump to the planet Cholgana and lose their Imperial pursuers. However, when they came out of hyperspace, the engines failed and the Munificent crashed on the planet's surface. Cholgana is a fairly remote, largely unsettled world, primarily famous as the homeworld of the Nexu, the cat-like creatures from the arena in Attack of the Clones. The survivors of the crash formed a settlement led by Harsel and protected from the Nexu by battle droids, which had survived the crash. Kratala, over the course of their 2 decades stranded there, even cybernetically enhanced some Nexu, which were then left as guards on the crashed Munificent, which had landed in 2 major chunks. She wasn't able to directly control them, but they were at least able to be kept protecting the Munificents against other intruders. Because of not just the riches on the ship, but also the technical expertise of the passengers, the San Nalior was sought by treasure hunters and the Empire alike. The treasure hunters sometimes managed to find their way to the crashed colony, though they often didn't survive more than the time it took to give the news that the Empire was still in power, a reality that Harsel did not want to deal with. His grip on the colony became somewhat tenuous as he grew more paranoid, and the colony increasingly tried to arm themselves to prepare for when the Empire inevitably would find them. When the ship had initially crashed, a hyperspace message pod had been sent out and made it to the Wheel, a trade station uniquely without Imperial presence in the Besh Gorgon system, where it had floated around undetected for almost 20 years, before being found and brought aboard the station. Ropok's son, who had sort of taken over Isotech, Riom, operating out of Raxus Prime, hired a group of adventurers and mercenaries to find the lost colony and recover the tech along with key personnel. Unfortunately for them, the news of its discovery quickly spread to other salvagers, including a band of infamous Rhodians known as the Ihar clan, along with the Imperial Security Bureau in an operation under Supervisor Cal Alson. The case of the San Nalior had been open since the end of the Clone Wars, and despite little information and there being waxing and waning interest over the whole 20-year period, since it had been originally opened by Palpatine himself, it required his approval to close the case, leaving it open for the whole period, showing just how important the tech was seen to be. Ultimately, Riom's hired adventurers were successful in finding the remains and recovering the lost cybernetics and treasure vaults of the San Nalior, but I can't give too much detail on what exactly went down there. Like a lot of my videos, the research for this is based off of an RPG supplement, specifically Fantasy Flight Games' Edge of the Empire, Beyond the Rim. So the exact outcome depends on the actions of the players, though generally, as with video games, the canon outcome is technically assumed to be success of the player characters and their primary objectives. If you are considering playing Edge of the Empire, I do strongly suggest picking up this supplement and giving it a try. It's one that I've personally played in my Edge of Despair series over on my gaming channel, and the information in this video shouldn't spoil it too much for you if it is something you're interested in doing. This isn't like a sponsored thing. I just really like tabletop RPGs. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed this look at one of the many lost CIS ships after the Clone Wars. If you have enjoyed, leave a like or consider subscribing. Maybe even check out Edge of Despair for yourself. It's one of my favorite series to do in any of my YouTube stuff. If you have any suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave those in the comments as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.